Hello, everyone. I don't know, I just want to check if you can hear me and if you can see me. If yes, you can just write quickly on the chat and I'll be able to start our webinar for today. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Then hello, everyone, and great. And before we start, I want to first thank you all for coming. My name is Marta. I work for Finpartner, and I am part of the immigration desk. For starters, I want to make a small presentation about our company. We are a firm that is based in Lisbon. We are specialized in accounting, taxes, and consulting services, both on a national and international level, and for individuals and companies as well. Like I said, we're based in Lisbon, but we also have our offices in Porto and other cities in Portugal. We have been helping clients worldwide to visit, invest, and even move to Portugal, as well as helping them understand a little bit more about our Portuguese laws related to taxes, which may be a little bit complicated for some. And for today, I would like to talk to you about IME. That's how we call it in Portuguese. It's IME, and it stands for the Municipal Property Tax. If that is something that you want to learn more about, I hope that I'll be able to make it a little bit clearer for you. And yeah, I'll start with like brief introduction, and any question that you may have or want you to inquire about, feel free to ask in the chat. I will look at them at the end of the presentation. If you do not want to ask them here today, you can also send me an email. My email will be visible on the PowerPoint, and I will also write it down on the chat if you wish to, because it may be more convenient for you. And so let's start by talking about what exactly is IME. And like I said, it stands for Municipal Property Tax. It's a tax that is updated and charged annually to the owners of real estate or land that is situated in the Portuguese territory by the respective municipalities. So although this tax is updated early by the municipalities, it needs to follow a table that is issued by the state, and different types of properties have different limits imposed. So I'll talk about the limits a little bit more ahead later on. For now, I just want to let you know that we have two types of properties, two different properties, which are the rural property, land situated outside of the urban areas, and then we have the urban properties that are all the other properties that are not a rural property. So moving on, who exactly needs to pay this tax, the IME tax? The IME is due to the owner of the property on the 31st of December of the year to which it is related. In case a property has more than one owner, the IME value is going to be divided evenly for both, or if there is more, divided evenly for all the owners of the property, so the payment will be done for everyone. And when is the tax due? So the IME tax is due for the year in which the individual becomes the owner of the property, which means that, for example, 2021 is going to have to pay the IME. So if I was the owner until the 31st of December of last year, I will have to pay the IME for this year. And in the event that the owner, for example, has benefited from an IME exception period, the tax is due to the year following the end of this exception, which leads us to know which entities are exempt for payment of the IME. Now, the IME code and the tax benefits statutes include several reductions and exemptions for property owners who meet certain requirements. The state, the autonomous regions, and any of their services, like it's in the PowerPoint, you can see establishments and bodies, even if personalized, including public institutes, as well as local authorities, associations, and all of those are exempt for payment of the tax, of the IME tax. And then there is another requirement that can make you exempt from payment of the IME. That is the low value properties of low income taxpayers. Now, to be considered a low value property, the value of all the owned properties, included urban and rural, in total should not exceed 10 times the annual value of the tax asset value. Now, this tax asset value is published every year in the beginning of the year, and you can look for it in the tax authority website, where they will let you know the value for this year, and you can see if the property is of low value or not. For the household income, it should not be above 2.3 times the annual value of the social support index, which is also available online for everyone to see. Now, if you meet these two requirements for the low value properties and low income taxpayers, the exemption will be applied automatically by the Portuguese tax authority. So there is no need for the taxpayer individual to do anything himself. And now, talking about the tax authority, the Portuguese tax authority, I would like to talk a little bit about the registry of properties. This is quite important. So the property registry are records that include, in particular, the characterization of the building, the localization, and the tax equity value, as well as the identity of the owner, and when applicable, usufructuary and surface owners as well. And usually most of the properties are already registered. If they are not, we need to do the registration. And in order to do so, we must submit them to the tax authority, and they will help us fill in the form for the registration of the property. Now, the registration of the property and any update to the ones that were already made before will be declared and submitted by the taxable individual and the tax authority, with the tax authority, like we said before. And you have until 60 days counting from the occurrence of any of the following exempts. For example, if you have completed the construction of your property, then you have 60 days to declare it, because it will change the value of your property. And any other constructions that you may do that alters the building value needs to be declared with the tax authority. And for each property that is declared, you will receive a title certificate. This title certificate is filled out and it's handed over to the taxable individuals, and it's up to the services as well, the tax authorities, to organize and do the respective registry. So again, you do not need to worry about it. Now, going back again to the IME tax, let's talk a little bit about how it is calculated. The IME is calculated again by the tax authority, and it is according to the value of the property plot, area, antiquity, quality, comfort, any constructions that have been made, etc. So it has nothing to do with the market value. So even if you purchase the property with a value of X, after a few years, this value will change. So the IME is always calculated. That's why the IME is calculated annually, and it may differ. So do not find it weird if this year you pay a little bit more or you pay a little bit less. And so the value, like I said, is calculated by the tax authority, and it has differences according to different types of properties. Like I said in the beginning, we have the urban and the rural properties. And so for the urban properties, or we can start with the rural, for the rural properties, the tax may go up to 0.8% of the taxable patrimony value. And then for the urban properties, it goes between 0.3 and 0.54%, according to each municipality. Now, there is also another extra tax rate that goes up to 7.5. And this tax rate, it's only for properties of owners who have a tax domicile, which means for those owners who live outside of Portugal and who live in a country or in a territory that has a more favorable tax regime. Okay, so there is a list approved by an order of ministers of finance that it's available online for everyone to see, that has a few territories and regions or countries to which their tax regime is quite favorable. So for all of the property owners, also, which means everyone who has a property here in Portugal but does not live in Portugal, lives in another country with a different tax regime, they still need to pay the IME, and that the IME tax rate will go up to 7.5, which is quite a lot compared to the other ones who don't even reach 1%. So yeah, be careful of that. And now going a little bit ahead, I would like to talk about the billing invoice that you should be getting anytime soon, since it usually starts in the beginning of May. So for those who are owners of properties in Portugal, prepare to receive your billing invoice. If you do not receive it in the middle of May, you may need to ask for a second one. But letting that after, talking about the billing invoice and the payment deadlines. So like I said, the invoice for the payment is sent to each individual until the end of the month before the payment due. So if you have to pay up to 100 euros of IME, if your IME is up to 100 euros, you only have a one-time payment, and it's made in May. So you will receive it in May. And then if your IME it's more than 100 euros but still less than 500, you will have 2 installments. The first one will be paid in May, and the second one will be in November. From 500 euros, you have 3 installments paid in May, August, and November. Now, it is important to know that even though they are divided by 3 installments, 2 installments, or just 1, you are able to pay the whole tax in 1 installment. So the first one will always come in May, and you have the option to pay it by installments. If you have more than 100 euros of IME to pay, you can choose to pay it by installments. So first one in May, second one in November, or first one in May, August, and November. Or you can choose to pay everything in the first one, so you do not have to worry about it later on. And you'll just have the IME tax paid, and you can rest for the rest of the year. So yes, now if you receive your invoice, but you think that the price is not quite right, the value of the tax you have to pay is not quite right, can you ask for an IME review? Yes, you can. You can ask for the IME to be reviewed. You can ask it in online or in person. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's completely free. But you do need to be aware that asking for a review of the IME does not mean that the amount of the tax will automatically drop. Actually, in some cases, it can even go up if there has been a recovery since the last update made by the tax authority. So you may want to be careful there. So how does the review work? The review of the IME implies the reevaluation of the taxable patrimony value. And this reassessment, the the base value of the buildings will be analyzed, and the coefficients of age, location, comfort, and any other things will be analyzed again, and I will give you a new value, maybe higher or lower. It will always depend. And briefly, that was most likely everything for the IME. And then you have the additional IME, which is another tax called IME. IME, it stands for additional IME, like I said. And the IME fees, the IME basically is a tax that complements the existing municipal property tax, so the existing tax of IME. Note that, like I said, there are two different taxes and they are paid separately, which means that this tax is applied to properties that have a value equal or larger than 600,000 euros. And if you have a property with this value, you will have to pay both IME and the additional IME tax, which is the IME. So you will have to pay both of them. Now, what are the IME fees? The IME rates may vary depending on whether the owner is a business or an individual. So for companies, they are charged at a single rate of 0.4 on the total taxable amount. So it's quite easy. It's not really complicated. But for particulars, we have three different levels of IME. So the first one, it's a tax of 0.7 of the property value for those who have an estate worth between, again, like you can say the 0.600 and 1 million euros. And then the rate of 1% for property that is valued between 1 million and 2 million euros, and 1.5 if the total value exceeds 2 million euros. And for the IME, the payment deadlines are different from IME, of course. The IME is usually paid in June, and its respective payment, the IME is, I'm sorry, it seems that it's a little bit of a mistake here. The IME you're going to get the invoice of the IME around June, and you will need to do the payment. The payment is done in one installment. There is no different installments like it happened with the IME. It's only in one installment, and you have to pay it during the month of September. So you'll receive the invoice in June, and you have to pay it all in once in September. And that's the difference for the IME and the IME. I think I may have spoke a little bit too fast. It may seem a little bit easy, but at the same time, it may have a little bit of complicated questions. I may have not gone through in detail. If you do have a question that you would like to see a little bit more in detail with me and you want to see or ask now, go ahead. If you want to send an email, you can also send an email. It's up to you which one is more comfortable. As I'm afraid I did speak a little bit too fast, maybe. So let me know if you have any questions, if you want to share your opinion. If you do, please feel free to write it in the chat. If not, I will also send you my email. So you have my email. If you don't want to ask anything now, that's totally fine. You can send it later by email. Anyway, you can send it regarding this subject or any other subject that you may have questions about. It's not only related to IME. Like I said, we are a firm that is specialized in taxes and countable and many other services. So if you have any other question related to Portugal, taxes or laws, feel free to also send an email. We will be able to help you, maybe answering your questions and any inquiries that you may have. For a question related to, yeah, you can, but I would prefer if you send it over by email, because it's a little bit more, they have a little bit more complicated details that I would prefer to check before answering. So yeah, please feel free to send me an email with questions related to the NHR. Yes, thank you. Yeah, of course. Thank you all for coming then. I don't know if you want to write any other questions. If not, again, I would like to appreciate all of you for coming, and many thanks to all of you. And I hope you enjoyed, and maybe see you next time. I'll be waiting for your emails. Goodbye then. Goodbye.